topic that comes up in this week's Parsha is that of restrictions. Now, restrictions is something that can be bad. It's bad to be restricted, or it can be very, very good. An example of a bad restriction is when a person is not well, when he's sickly, he's feeling very weak. Maybe he's bedridden. So that is a restriction. That's a restriction that if it happens to us, we have to try to remove. We do so by treating ourselves, by going to doctors. And if it's something that's very rare, very complicated, we have to maybe look for expert doctors. Maybe we have to travel hundreds of kilometers to get to expert doctors and go to tremendous expense to remove this restriction. Bad health or sickness can be a restriction which stops us from living as we could live. The restriction that we actually deal with in the verse, in the Parsha, is that of oaths. A person may voluntarily take on certain restrictions. He's only going to eat certain types of foods, or he's going to do certain types of exercise. It could be maybe an athlete who wants to commit himself to hours of training, or a musician who commits himself to hours and hours of practice. These are restrictions a person takes on himself for his growth. What the Torah warns us, though, is that is not to take vows. Because if a person does take a vow, that becomes like a Torah law. It becomes a restriction. If a person has vowed not to do something, then the Torah itself forbids him from doing that something. The vow is binding. However, a restriction such as a vow has a resolution. It can be lifted. The restriction can be removed by a Jewish court, and the Jewish court may sometimes even be as much as 3 Torah observant Jews can form a court and help to release a person from a vow. Then there's a third type of restriction. And this really, while it might sometimes seem to be negative, is actually very, very positive. And that's the restrictions that the Torah itself imposes on us. These can never be released. There's no court in the world, there's no power in the world who can release us from the Torah's restrictions. We have the negative commands of the Torah, that which the Torah restricts us from doing, the food it restricts us from eating, the activities that it forbids us from doing. These are restrictions that the Torah has imposed on us, but what we need to realize is that these restrictions are really very, very good. Because by following the Torah, by following the Torah's rules, we grow. And similar to the athlete who makes certain rules for himself in order to build up his strength, to build up his power, to build up his skill, similarly the Torah gives us restrictions and certain limitations in order to help us to grow. It's by squeezing us from the sides that we grow upwards. In a sense, like a tube of toothpaste. You squeeze it at the sides and the paste comes up from the top. So similarly, we have restrictions around us, the Torah's restrictions, which are given with the genius of the Torah, the command of Hashem Himself for our growth and for our progress. Oh, just that. They're there to help us to grow. They help us to reach the highest of heavens and to experience the ultimate lifestyle, the ultimate in living, a sense of unity with our fellow Jews, a sense of unity and love for the world, a love for our lives, and the ability to realize and bring out our potential to the full. This is the power of restrictions when they come with the command and the blessing and the promise of the Torah, something that is very, very good for us in all different ways.